So today on 305 Talks Bowling, we're here just for our mission. Our passion is bowling. Our mission is to spread knowledge, experience, and our love for the sport of bowling. Today we're going to do a recap of the past week since our podcast on Tuesday, and then we're also going to be covering just some opinions of ours when it comes to types of tournaments we prefer to bowl, why we prefer to bowl those tournaments, thoughts on our on handicap, what is too much, what is enough, things like that, and then also pay ratio, because sometimes that comes up in a lot of conversation when it comes, especially when we're traveling, like what's the pay ratio and things like that. So we're gonna get into that a little bit after our recap. So we're gonna start with our recap. The first thing we did after our last podcast was bowl our trios, which is tonight. A 7:30 practice, so normally I go live around 7:50. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, just because people have asked me what exactly is the format, because they see us cheering but somebody may be losing, so they don't understand. So the format of our trios tournament is, it's the Peterson. You're Pearson. Terrell Peterson. Peterson point system. So the Peterson point system is where you have to beat the person across from you, and that equals X amount of points. And then also win your total as a team, which is worth more points. I believe ours is 1 point per person you beat for every game, and then total is also 1 point. And then every game, I believe, is 2 points. 4 points, 4. We don't know. We don't take the score. But 2 to 4 points is what the whole team score is. Then you have the grand total of all games put together as a team, and that's worth about, I think, 6 points. So you're able to still win a good amount of points if you say win 2 games and total. So that's kind of why sometimes you'll see us cheer even though we already won the game, because we're either trying to take total or we're trying to get that person to take their total or beat them that game. Because I know that's a very common question when it comes to people watching our live. It's like, Reggie's already won the game for the team. Why is everybody so excited? Things like that is what I've seen, because he is the anchor and they're trying to calculate the scores when they see it. So that's pretty much sums up our trios. Last week we took the majority amount of points. We weren't sure about exactly how much, but I took 2 in total from the person I was going against. Our third teammate took 2 in total from the person they were against, and then you took 1, which is still contributing. And we took, but it was because of handicap. He did outbowl him, but it was because of handicap. And then I believe we won 2 games in total as a team. So we took majority of the points. So be on the lookout for that at my next live at 7:50 for the trios. Next, on Friday, if you missed it, I did do a live stream with the UBA representative Rudy Feliciano. Very, very funny man. Seems like a very great guy. Very passionate about the culture of UBA. I will be posting that bits and pieces to 305 Talks Bowling. And I will be posting that to our YouTube page, 305 Talks Bowling, the live stream that we had. I'm just doing I'm working on other content, so I haven't been able to post that yet, but that will be up soon. It was a very great conversation, so if you haven't seen it, make sure you keep checking to see when that's posted. The next thing that we did over the weekend was we bowled Andres Gomez Pro Shop Bowling Tournament. That's always on a pattern. That one was the 44-foot titanium pattern. So
Is it titanium?
yeah,
It did.
I think so. No? Oh, thought it was titanium.
44.
Okay, it's 44 feet. I think somebody told me it was titanium. Maybe. It was 44 feet. I thought it was titanium, but I don't think it was listed. So, 44 feet pattern. So we're going to go into a little bit of conversation about that, based off basically lane play, how we played the lanes, ball choices, what we do different because we didn't score the best when we bowled, if you caught that live. So How did you attack the lanes out there? Stop doing that. How did you attack the lanes?
Well, I started up the boards with the stealth. Had a great looking practice, so I figured that's where I would be. After a few frames in, I just started pitching it left a little more, catching out of bounds. And then I ended up moving left to stop catching it out of bounds, and I ended up pulling it inside more, which got me in a little trouble. And I want to say the second game I ended up making a move, more inside, playing a little more inside, swinging it a little in, and was able to put 235 up on the board.
No, yep, that was the second game.
Yeah, and then the third game I just kind of, once we moved pairs, I kind of lost it a little bit. And then the fourth game I shot 220.
Okay.
I went back to the stealth.
That was like you didn't tell the ball choices you do. So
But so I threw the collision.
Second game.
Second game I threw the collision, and that had a good look from the inside. And then moving pairs, it didn't look so good on the next game. And I went back into the stealth, which gave me the look I needed, which I should have stayed into that ball for all 4 games.
You took the Paragon too, right?
Yeah, maybe 2 frames
Okay.
or so.
I know I saw it.
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 frames I threw the Paragon, but it just didn't have that shape I needed at the moment.
Somebody asked, did you pull out that deviate?
Yes, Mr. Jones. I surely did.
Yeah, the second game you pulled it out when you had a little shout out.
Yep. My coach gave me a tip.
Yeah. For me, I just honestly played the lanes completely wrong for what I should have done, which I knew better. I just don't know why I didn't. I was just, every time I get on something that's a longer pattern than I'm used to, I just think, Kat, you need to slow the ball down. That's what you need to do. You need to slow the ball down. But then I start babying it, and I'm not perfect with speed. We've talked about that numerous times. I do speed up, have a tendency to speed up. I strike twice. The next one's going to be about 2 miles faster, and it makes a world of difference on a sports pattern. So I did that, and I pulled out every ball in my bag, but it really didn't matter because I still was going too fast. So then there's a 4-game sweeper, so towards the third game I remembered, which I should start looking at my notes more. I take notes for a reason. But I remembered that when I do play on a longer pattern, I just need to keep my speed, just direct the ball a little bit more to the pocket, so when it exits the pattern, then it just goes into the roll phase, hook phase, roll phase, and then into the pocket, instead of trying to like really just throw it slow and hopefully it reads, because I'm very uncomfortable. And one of the tips that I did give in one of my previous podcasts, do what you're comfortable doing. Don't try to change everything because you're not going to be able to do that accurately. And I need to take my own advice because I didn't. And if I would have just been comfortable and I just know I knew everything. I knew where to stand. I just had to just turn my body just a tad bit just so I can guide the ball to the pocket, and I was able to strike once I did that. But that was half of the third game, and then I had the last game, and I had a couple of bad breaks. I was already out of it, so then I just looked at it as a learning experience, and just knowing that, Kat, when you play these, you take notes for a reason, you do these things for a reason, so go back to learning that. So that is my takeaway from it. Like, stop doubting myself, thinking I cannot hook the ball because that's what I go to. Like, everybody's hooking the ball, I can't hook the ball, so I'm going to continue throwing it slower to hook the ball, when I shouldn't be doing that. Just go to my strength, which is I'm able to be accurate in aiming. I'm able to be strong and firm underneath the ball. Those are my positives. So stay with that, and then adjust my game to that, which is just playing a tighter line and just turning just a tad so I can move my marking just like a board or two, so I'll get it towards the pocket better. So that was kind of what I did. I started with the CUDA. That looked really nice. Again, I had to throw it slow, so it wasn't because of my speed. I throw it slow. So when I did get to the pocket, it definitely carried. It struck. It was a great choice. So then when I started getting a little bit confident, bringing my speed up, I brought out the defender because that one is made to go longer and snap off the pattern. So it was doing just that. However, again, I wasn't playing the right part of the lane, so it didn't go to the pocket as frequently as I would have liked. But I mean, it did its job. So again, the only thing, my downfall in that was I just didn't play the lanes correctly and close my shoulders in a little bit more just so I can get the ball to where it needed to be. So lesson learned. So the next thing we bowled is EBA. We bowled on Sunday, and that was in Stewart, Florida, at Stewart Bowl. How would you say that affect? Stop looking at me with that. Why you do that? So, how would you say your mental game or physical game, does it change or does it not change when you're bowling on something 44 feet, knowing how to play a longer pattern, and then you're going to a house shot with there was a lot of friction on the outer part of the lane. So did that affect your game one or practice, like you're like trying to figure out what's going on, or are you able to shut off Saturday and then you start Sunday brand new, not thinking about what you did the day before?
Yeah, pretty much going into Sunday, pretty much shut off Saturday. That's a wrap. That was done. Different house. Different shot, obviously.
Definitely.
There was a lot of friction, even though I was the only lefty. There was a ton of friction. I want to say going down into the back end of the first game, maybe the 7th, 8th, or 8th and 9th. Yeah, somewhere between the 7th and 10th. I got into some really bad transition. Like somebody just took a squeegee and
somebody?
Yeah. Like,
no lefties but you, but somebody did it?
Like somebody just took a squeegee when I turned my head and just said, we're going to get this spot right here. And yeah, man, it's like the ball hooked right at my toes. And it forced me right a little bit more closer to the ball return. And I went into the stealth to...
What'd you start with?
I started with the collision because I had a good look with that ball all week since last Monday. So I just been throwing that. Just been throwing that all week to start. And if I catch any transition, I would go into my stealth, better angle. And even when I went into that, I couldn't miss. If I missed in a board or two, it was gone. Mm. So, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of friction, but I ended up going into the Paragon after, which would be the third game. I got into the Paragon. That was that had a pretty good look until I realized I had my thumb backwards in the ball.
It locks that way?
It did. I guess, but I was hanging until I figured out.
Your thumb was locked in.
Once I turned it around, then I actually got out smoother and it struck out.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah, I gotta start marking my thumbs.
Sit right
this
here. Front. Somebody said. Yes, when it comes to speed, you can adjust your distance from the foul line. So a lot of people do step back if they want to speed up, because you're going to take bigger steps, which causes naturally you're supposed to put more effort into the step because they're bigger and your weight would be forward, so you're going to create more speed, and you move closer, take tinier steps because it's going to slow you down so you can create less speed in a sense. That works, but when I say my speed is like way too fast. So personally for me, it wouldn't work for me because it'd still be too fast. It's just a natural thing I do. I have to, because my body would just do it faster, or slow is still fast for patterns. But on a house shot, I would do things like that because it's just a little bit less or a little bit more of speed. So on a house shot, perfect, but on a pattern, I needed a drastic change. Like I normally throw at 17, I need to be throwing it like 13, 14. And stepping back and forth wouldn't do that effect on me. So then, hey, Mr. Mars, how are you doing? So then for me, EBA, yes, there was a lot of friction on the right as well. I threw the first ball and it just took off. And normally, you know, when your first ball is always going to be slower than normal because you just took it out the bag. You might have just got out the car because for us, it was like an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute drive to Stewart. So, no, well, people drive regular speed.
I drive regular speed.
No, you don't. So then, it was a drive. So getting out the car, getting the bag, you're stiff, you're doing all this stuff. You're not bowling. So your muscles for bowling is not warmed up yet. They are not warmed up yet. So you stretch, you can do, but you're still not warm. So the only way to get warm is through practice. So I would throw my first ball, half speed, second ball, maybe about 75%. Next ball, I'm good to go, but sometimes I may need more depending on the temperature of the bowling alley. It was warm, so it was kind of fine. But I threw my first ball, and it just went left. I didn't put nothing on it. I just let the ball go, and it took left. I was like, okay. So then I was like, okay, well, that's my speed, of course, because I'm a speed person. So I was like, well, I just got to throw it harder. So I threw it harder, still went left. I was like, okay. So then I had to move in and play actually a tighter line because I was trying to just use the oil that was there on board like 12. Because normally I played 10, 10 was hooking. So 12 kept me kind of in the area. That worked well. I shot 256 or something. So I did well with that adjustment. Then I started leaving the 10 pins. I struggled tremendously with transition. I shot, I think, 180. Struggled tremendously with the transition. And then switch balls. And then I started shaping it, which means I threw it. I stood more left. So about, if you know the boards, the middle dot, I probably stood maybe like a few boards left of the middle dot. And then I threw it out to about 10, which is the second arrow in. To give it more of a shape to the pocket rather than straight up. So I was able to kick out the 10 pin. My balls of choice was the Defender Hybrid. Again, that comes out October 21st. So in a few days now. Make sure you get you one. That's definitely a great ball to have in your bag. So I did that. That's what I shot 250 with. I struggled the middle game, so I threw a few balls. Last game I threw the Evo Hybrid. Definitely another great ball to have in your bag. It got me through it, and I was able to shoot 244 or something like that at the end. So definitely those two, to me, are definitely earned their spot to have a must-have in my bags. Tournaments. So just for people to understand your thought process on tournaments, what would make you jump at a tournament and say, I need to go to that one versus something? Because a lot of areas like Tampa, Orlando, even sometimes here, there's multiple tournaments to go to. So what makes you pick one over the other when you're looking at that?
It could be a couple things. It can be whether you feel like making that drive. And then if you do feel like making a drive, then you decide on, well, would this be a good turnout where it is? Pay ratio, what it's paying or guaranteeing. Things like that. You know the areas that throw tournaments, you know they're going to be good turnouts because you know the caliber bowlers that are there and that's going to attend those. But yeah, most of the time that's what matters. Okay.
For me, a lot of that does come into play. Something being guaranteed definitely is more appealing. When they're saying like guaranteed first place is $2,000, that'd be something that's more appealing. Again, when he said like traveling, I think traveling expensive versus winnings definitely play a role, because if I'm only able to win $2,000 over the, like, say, a course of 2-3 days, I'm spending maybe $100 to drive. Say it's Orlando for me, so $100 to drive there. Then you have, like, say, 2 hotel stays. That might be another, like, $200-$300. So it's like you're already at about $400-$300. So is that winning really worth it if Now, that's just that. That's not food. That's not anything else that comes into play. So is the 2,000 really worth it here when I can stay at home, per se, and make 1,000? I mean, but that's winning. Then also, like, the competition. So if I go to Orlando, there's a lot more competitors in Orlando. So how likely am I to win that 2,000? Yes, it's possible. However, how likely is it because of the competitors versus the competitors down here? Handicap to me plays a huge role, which is our next kind of topic, is the handicap percentage. I'm not a believer in having high handicap percentage, such as like 90% of 250, 240. I feel like personally that is too much. I know it's a huge argument to have, because people think they need more pins to beat somebody else. But the understanding of, you're also giving those people who average 230 that you're trying to get more pins to beat, they get pins too. So is that really making it easier for you, or is that making it harder? Because if they average 230, they're capable. This is my thought process again. So if they're averaging 230, they're easily capable of shooting 250, 260s. So if we do 90% of 240, their average 230, giving them 10 pins, that 260 is 270. That 270 is 280. Well, that's 100% of 240. But regardless, they still get pins. I'm a person that believes in keeping it around. I like, which is hard to find here, it was very common in Chicago, like 90% of 220, 90% of 215. I do not get pins if it's 90% of 215 because my average is 214. I do not get any pins. But I rather have somebody beat me because they're better than me and because they shot their best way, rather than somebody beating me because there's an astronomical amount of pins. For example, we've bowled a tournament where there's a kid who gets 120 something pins. Reggie, it was on a house shot. Reggie, I think, averaged 250 something for that tournament.
Yeah. 1308.
Yes, he averaged 250 for that tournament and had no chance of winning because the other guy, all he had to do really was shoot a buck 20, and he's already at 240. So
but
like,
he averaged 170.
Yep. But in the tournament, he averaged higher than that. So he had no chance, and he definitely bowled his butt off, and he bowled amazingly, and had no chance of actually winning the tournament. So if there was a possibility of him knowing that person was going to a tournament in Orlando and guaranteeing first place, you automatically kind of count yourself out because I can average 250 and lose. So
it's just not fair. This has been a great debate in all of the centers lately about this handicap issue and the tournaments. And yeah, we want to bowl and we want to have more things to bowl, but handicap is getting ridiculous. I remember years ago where being a scratch bowler actually meant something. People was trying to make it to being a scratch bowler. Now it's like the scratch bowlers are trying to make it to be handicap bowlers now, which makes no sense to me. You know, everybody want to sandbag, you know, and I don't mean, you know, no offense to anybody. You know,
you're sandbagging. They know they do
it. I mean, it's just stupid to me. But yeah, the tournaments they're dying out because things are not changing. It's hard to beat someone that has 80 pins and they come in every month and they're averaging 210 a game. You should lose pins if you cash. I remember that was a thing with South Florida Masters. If you win, you lose pins. If you cash, you lose pins. If you don't, you gain pins. So it's kind of like, you know, losing and buying pins back. But again, it's hard to beat someone that has 80 pins and come into your tournament every month with those same 80 pins and they place in the top 3 every time and they don't lose any pins. It's like that. I mean, it's a free check for them.
Yeah.
You know? It's just not fun anymore. It really isn't. And yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I see. I can feel your passion.
You can feel it. Like, even though, I mean, I'm not the best bowler around, But still, we want to compete. We want to win as well. And you just can't win like that. 80 pins versus somebody that's averaging 210. Even on the longer patterns, they're averaging 190 with these 80 pins, and it's still tougher to beat them, you know?
Listen, somebody asked if the tournament directors are not doing their job. It's not necessarily they're not doing.
Yeah, you want to answer that?
I mean, it's not. It's not necessarily they're not doing their job. I think at this point, when it comes to a lot of tournaments, everybody's trying to please everybody, and they rather lose the scratch bowlers because most likely they're going to get in the scratch division anyway and gain the handicap bowlers. And no offense to anybody who is truly trying and you're doing your best out there, because I mean that's not what we're trying to say. It is just that it encourages sandbagging, which is when you're not bowling to your fullest capability to gain an average at home. Then you go to these tournaments and you shoot your best you can, and now you're able to win no problem. And it's not fair to somebody who's been bowling the best they can every single time they bowl, and then now they bowl in a tournament, they're doing the best they can and they have no shot at winning. That's kind of what we're referring to when it comes to like people who have 80 pins or averaging 220. But as for tournament directors, especially down here in South Florida, it's really hard to gain a crowd. It's dying down here, and it's just that they're trying to please everybody, and a lot of tournaments nowadays are catering to the handicap because there's more of them than there are scratch bowlers, and if scratch bowlers complain, most handicap bowlers say, well, then go pro. And not all going pro is not for everybody. Like, everybody doesn't have that opportunity financially, time wise, money wise. Like, there's so many reasons why somebody but won't go pro, because it has to be a job, and you already have your job. It's professional for a reason. Profession means job, basically. So that's kind of where everybody stands down here. Is just they're trying to gain those handicap bowlers because they come in and they will get in all the brackets. They'll get in everything, but scratch bowlers won't, because the handicap's astronomical. It's like I get in handicap brackets, but I also get in scratch brackets because I do feel like I have an equal amount of chance. Either bowling against the guys who are shooting 250, 240, I can do that as well, so hopefully I can get through with some, and if they bowl bad, hopefully I meet them somewhere. But it's like, even a handicap bowler, they can bowl bad and still get those 50, 60, 70, 80 pins and still beat me by like 1 pin when I'm bowling scratch. So it's like, when it comes to a lot of turns with a high handicap, the scratch bowlers are spending the least amount of money because they're going to bet logically. They're not going to sit here and know they have no shot with somebody who has 124 pins.
Like, are you really, and excuse me again, are you really catering to the handicap, or you just know if you have more handicap is more profit?
Yeah, you're catering to the handicap because it's more profit. Sure. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, everything.
But it's just, this, what is it, 90% or 100% of 240? That's the stupidest thing. I'm just gonna say it, regardless. Again, excuse me if it hurt your feelings, whatever.
We're here to be transparent.
Yeah, so whoever is a tournament director that is watching, again, I'm sorry. I love you if I bowled your tournaments, but it's ridiculous. Like, 100% or 90% of 240, like, come on. Like, be for real. It sucks.
It definitely does. Some tournaments, like, if you pre-register, I like the thought of, like, just going off your highest bowler and, like, 80% of your highest bowler's handicap. Sometimes that works. I personally believe, which would be a dream, that, like, if USBC put out a rule out there talking about all tournaments, leagues, and everything have to be like 215, 90% of 215. If they would put something like that, so no matter what you bowl, that's going to be your handicap going in, I feel like that would be amazing. Because
we would have only 10 bowlers.
I don't care. I'd rather bowl that. I'd rather bowl with 10 bowlers and have a chance than sit here and bowl somebody who averaged 117 and then go and averages 140 and beats me every time. It's just facts. So let me see. There's a lot of people saying stuff. So a lot of people are agreeing. Let's see. Handicap leagues is money, not handicap leagues is money, not scratch. And then I don't. Well, at least down here, there's no like scratch leagues. But let's see, raising.
We have a
base
ton of scratch bowlers here.
Yeah, but not leagues. So go ahead.
We not leagues, but we have a ton of scratch bowlers. But again, everyone is they're not everyone because I'm not, but they are transitioning to handicap. So everyone, I mean, look at Boca on Thursday nights. It's 50 plus teams. You have 60% of big scratch bowlers in that league, and we have not one single bracket, not one single scratch pot. Just being honest, man. Like I'm and transparent, I guess if you want to call it. So
I call transparent.
Love the team, but I like going to leagues where there's pots. It's a chance that I can win money instead of just I'm spending gas money every week. Like I don't stay around the corner from Boca.
Yeah.
I'm South Miami, so it's an hour and some change for me to get there from where I am. But again, I like to go to a league that has, pots. I'm going there for something. Yeah. Other than to just win with the team. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
I expressed that to people who ask why I didn't return to certain leagues and things like that. I agree the same way. It's that, especially with handicap, the way it is and everything like that, is like I have a chance of winning money individually every week. So it's a reason to go. Rather than if my team is doing bad, then I have no chance of winning money. So then it thinks to me, it's just like, well, why am I coming? Because it's like if our team is in like second to last place, which hasn't happened, thank goodness. But no, they didn't give us our points. That's not true. But no, but when it comes to leagues and things, having side pots and stuff make to me the league. Like that, the prize fund, everything is great, but side pots and everything to me make the league. Yeah, there's no scratch brackets down here. Like in tournaments there are. In tournaments there are scratch brackets, but in leagues there are not. But when it comes to the handicap stuff, even in brackets per se, in tournaments where you're bowling and you're looking at your brackets and you shoot, for instance, 279, and then how do you feel when you get beat by 310?
I'll meet you at the parking lot.
I mean, it happens so much. It's just like, and then it's impossible for him to get 310 because he gets no pins. It's impossible for me to get 310 because I don't really get any pins. But in general, like to make it impossible to win, because that's literally impossible. When somebody has pins enough to go over 300 and you shoot 290 and you lose to a 310, it's like there's nothing you can do. And that to me has never been fair, has never even made sense to me that you can get beat by a number you cannot reach. And it's just impossible. And that has happened so many times in brackets and in side pots and things like that because the handicap is getting so crazy. Maryland has a lot of scratch pots. Oh,
I heard about those places. Jersey, Maryland,
up there, up in the cold.
New York, Arizona. They actually have this one guy. I have
a few friends who live in Arizona who moved from
This
Chicago.
one guy mentioned this doubles tournament that Arizona throws every year. He said the prize fund reaches over $100K. I haven't seen him in
Arizona or Texas?
Nah, Arizona.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Lucy.
At SRT one year. I believe this when we was out in Houston, Texas bowling. He mentioned that. And yeah.
Somebody asked, are we on Lane Talk? I am not. The bowling centers I bowl in do not have Lane Talk. I mean, I don't know if you actually register your stuff on Lane Talk, but you bowl at Pines. They have...
On Monday night, yeah. I have Lane Talk, but I haven't been on there in a while.
Okay. Somebody just asked you if Lane Talk. You challenge us. You can challenge us. When, where? I mean, not where. It depends when. I'm good. I'm always down for a challenge. Have we been to Houston? You've been in Houston or Dallas?
Yeah, I've been to Dallas and I've been to Houston. Houston was it wasn't the greatest for me, and no disrespect. It was the houses that were picked for us to bowl in. One of the houses had no pro shop, so if anything happened, you pretty much was done. If you had a thumb that broke, you were done. One of the other houses, I believe it had no AC or something like that. Yeah, that was a whole.
I've only bowled in Arlington. I bowled in the training center in college, but I didn't know anything about it.
That was a poop show, but the hotel was nice.
The hotel was nice.
Traffic horrible.
I bowled in Arlington, Texas, right by the the training. I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head, but the training place for like Team USA and things like that. The training center there. And then also there's a Six Flags out. There was a Six Flags across from my hotel, and then we were able to make our own waffles in the hotel, which had the Texas shape. That was pretty cool. Okay. I was like, okay, Texas waffles, but no, I have not bowled in Houston or Dallas. I plan to though. I don't know where Lucy is. I'm not sure where Lucy is, but I plan on bowling.
Was pretty. That team house that they bowled in for nationals. I think that was nationals.
Most likely, because
we bowled there. Pretty much the same houses they bowled in for nationals this year was the houses we bowled in for SRT last year. The team house was like that was nice. I jumped out 803, I believe.
Just because you both good don't make the house nice. Okay?
No, I'm saying it was a lot of people who shot great scores and sets in that house. It was high scoring in there.
Yeah, he's talking about TNBA Nashville. That's what he's talking about right now.
Yeah.
Lucy's in Houston. Okay. So I'll be in Houston next year for that tournament. That's what is y'all handicap? He doesn't. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
He doesn't have handicap. Depending on the percentage. So if it's like handicap is 90% of 220, I average 214. So I would get maybe about 4 pins, 3 pins, something like that. In my league now, tonight, I don't know what that's off of. It's off of 230, but I don't know the percentage wise. So I get like 18 pins. So maybe 240. Might be off of 240 if I get. I don't know. I don't know the percentage, but I get like 14, 15 pins, 18 pins. And then on Thursdays when I bowl, I get about the same. So I believe it's off of 230. But my average is 214. So whatever the percentage is, that changes that. Where do you guys bowl out of? South Florida, Miami. Well, we don't bowl out of Miami. We live in Miami. Bowl in Broward County. So South Florida. You guys shoot out Reno. Have we shot at Reno or Vegas? When they have tournaments. I have bowled at Reno for nationals. I've done that. And I've bowled Vegas for TNBA, USBC nationals in Reno. We should be going there. That's where we're going, right? Reno. If nationals next year is in Reno, we're going again. Vegas, I'm going for women's nationals next year. I have done TNBA nationals there a few times. I've bowled the TAT there twice. I've been to the TAT there. So I've bowled in Vegas a few times. You have not. Yeah, he has not been to Vegas nor Reno. We talked. Oh, pay ratio. So when it comes to tournaments, we meant to talk about handicap and then our pay ratio. That's also the deciding factor that you mentioned, because depending on the pay ratio, is going to define if you get paid and then how much you get paid. So what is your thoughts on the pay ratio?
1 in 4. 1 in 4, 1 in 3. I believe that would give a.
Really?
Or 1 in 4.
I don't agree with that, but go ahead.
Maybe, yeah, but like 1 in 4.
Okay, you can continue saying.
Between 1 in 4, 1 in 5.
1 in 5 is pretty good. I think 1 in 5, 1 in 6 is mine. But go ahead. What's your reasoning for that?
1 in 6.
Go ahead. What's your reasoning?
Like every 6 people.
One person gets paid, which means they get paid a decent amount of money rather than everybody get $42.
Yeah, well,
That's what Dougie said.
I mean, it's gonna look like that if you do 1 in 6 and you only have 24 bowlers.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily. If you do 1 in 3 or 1 in 4, that means like more people are getting paid. So that's when you run into lists where somebody's like 3,000 at the top, then maybe 1,500, and then maybe 900. Then you get like 8 people getting paid $100. Then another 8 people are getting paid for like $50. That's when you run into that problem because you're trying to pay everybody.
Did you get your money back? Depending on what the tournament.
So you go all the way just to get your money back. You are the king of telling me I'm not trying to bowl to get my money back.
I'm just saying.
I personally think 1 in 5 is pretty good. 1 in 6, because for the reason that I kind of explained, where when you do make money, it's actually worth the money you're making. It may be harder to obtain that money, but it also, to me, it depends if it's a singles tournament or if it's a team tournament. Because team tournament, I believe that might be a 1 in 4 for me. 1 in 4, 1 in 5 for a team tournament. Because, no, that's not true. I just lied. I still would want 1 in 6 because then you got to take that money and spread it between 5 people or 4 people. So I still would rather have 1 in 6 or something for a team tournament. Individual, I'm the same way. I rather have the 1 in 6 or something because at least the people who get paid actually get paid for winning. Because if you would have shot, like, say, you're 250, averaging 250 for all those games, and the pay ratio is 1 in 3, first place makes 700 because that's what's guaranteed. You make 400, 300. It's more of a loss, in my opinion. But you like your 1 in 3, 1 in 4. Okay, so he wants everybody. He's Oprah. You get money. You get money. You get money, man. If it's $1 or whatever, I'm more of if you earn it, it should be worth it. You should feel the earning of the money. I am not staffed. We'll finish with this real quick. So then, I'm not on staff. He is. Speaking of that, he wanted to tell you a little bit about the new balls that are coming out November 18th. They're right here if you want to read them. You can see speed.
Yes. I just got the notification on those, so I really didn't.
You didn't dive deep into them yet, but just for FYI, you can keep a lookout for these balls that are coming out. November 18th. I don't know what your problem is, but the balls are it's speed. It was, you don't know if it's pearl. It looks pearl. Speed pearl. I'm assuming Game Breaker 2, 3D offset attack, and the purple hammer reactive. It's a solid reactive. So you can look out for those balls that are coming out then. What is your issue? So why aren't you speaking?
I can't.
Okay. Okay. So those balls will be coming out. Hopefully, you said that you're possibly going to be getting 3D offset soon to be throwing. So we'll have some videos up on that. And when we do, we'll be sure to post it. Keep you guys updated on those, what balls he gets or whatever the case may be. If I'm able to get my hands on some, I'll get them and throw them as well. So you guys can look at those balls compared to the balls we have now. Because I do have the current speed, so I can compare that. And then he has a 3D offset, the original one. So then when he gets the attack, he'll be able to throw that one as well.
But they're coming out. All right.
Whatever.
No, I haven't read much about them. I just checked my email today. So it was actually right before we went live. I checked my email. And I saw them. So I wasn't, really able to get into them and look at the numbers on them and everything like that. But there is a Game Breaker 2, 3D offset attack, and a Columbia speed, and also a purple reactive that will be coming out. It's 4, right?
Yeah, it's for him.
Okay. So Yeah, as soon as I get the attack in my hands, which would be in a few days, I should have it punched and on the lanes for you guys to see some videos on it and how it rolls and what I think of it. Also, I may get my hands on the purple reactive.
I bet you would.
Yeah, I like purple. Um, yeah, I will get those. And Game Breaker, big fan of the Game Breaker series back then. So I will definitely put one of those in my bag as well. And again, once I get them and get them out on the lanes, and get some shots with them, a couple games, definitely have a recap on them and some more information on them for you guys. But be on the lookout. I believe the release dates are
November 18th.
November 18th. Yep, November 18th. Great.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. All right.
How many tournaments have you guys won? I don't know off the top of my head. I've won this past, Bowling in the Bay unofficially. That's my most recent one. I've won the individual high, scratch, and handicap. I only had 5 pins, but the scratch and handicap division for women, I have won. My team won the first place scratch division, and we got 5th in the handicap division for that tournament. That's my most recent. Before that, I've won at the TNBA challenge, Sunshine Challenge. I won that. The woman, it's a scratch tournament. I've won that. I've won a few sweepers, like just from people throwing it monthly. That's kind of what I do win, is like little sweepers and things like that. Nothing like grand like nationals or anything, but that is a goal. So don't count me out for that. How many tournaments have you won?
I have a Sunshine Challenge team win. I have a Sunshine Challenge doubles win. I also have a SRT team win and a SRT doubles win. I've won the South Florida Masters birthday tournament. Of course, I have a couple titles in the Andres Gomez monthly invitational. I have 2 PBA regional caches as well. I have a couple local TNBA tournament wins. I have a Lightning Strikes. They have every, I believe, month or so, or a few months, they have like a big scratch tournament. I actually have a title in that. I'm not sure what it was called, so forgive me on that one. But I have quite a few wins and quite a few caches. Dates are
November 18th.
November 18th. Yep, November 18th. Yeah. Great.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. All right.
So I mean, we have like 10 minutes left or so. So if you guys have any questions, you can throw them in the chat. We can talk about them. From anything you heard from us today, anything you saw in our past lives. You have a hammer envy. It's lost its grip. Should I sand it? Not necessarily. I wouldn't sand it for that reason. When you sand the ball, that's just kind of changing the surface. It's not affecting. So then if it's like becoming shiny, I might give it to your pro top for them to detox it, or you can do your own personal detox, which is what I do, which is just hot water and Dawn, a degreaser or something like that in a hot boiling water, and have the ball sit there, and it will open up the pores and have the oil come out. And then from there, you may bring it to the pro shop for them to sand it. But sanding only touches the surface. So yes, it would work for the next like maybe 3-4 games. But the minute it sits in a car again or sits anywhere, the oil will come back out and it's going to affect the surface again. So you're going to end the same problem. Go ahead.
Thing is, when it comes to the bowling equipment, and I learned this from someone, so I'm not gonna make it seem like it was my idea or whatever, whatnot. But I mean, it's regular anyways. You should do it. Every night after gameplay, you should clean your balls. Some people just have that habit, like me, myself. Um, After I finish, I just be ready to get in my car, and I just throw everything in the bag, crank up, and vroom, I'm gone. But you should clean your bowling balls, whichever ones you threw and played that night. You should clean them every night after you finish, and the reason being is once you're done, there's still oil on the ball. Bowling balls are very porous, and once that oil sits on the ball overnight, it tends to soak into the ball. The ball soaks it in. So you got to think. You just put 40 games on the ball. You haven't cleaned it yet. You know, this is a brand new ball or whatever. You just broke over 40 games in it. And again, like you asked, you know, it kind of died out. That will be one of the things you want to do is detox it. Once you detox it, if the pro shop detox it for you, have them put it back to a factory finish and see what happens then. Or you maybe want to go down on the surface a little bit after you detox it. But that's the main thing you want to do is detox it and clean them every night after gameplay, whether it's league, practice, or whatever. You know, make sure you clean your equipment because that oil soaks into the ball and that will kill it as far as reaction, shapes, whatever you're looking for.
How are they oiling the lanes for house shots for leagues? That's honestly house based. You can ask your local house to ask them for a pattern sheet or whatever what the printout of what the pattern is. It should mostly be around 40 feet. But yeah, normally a typical house shot can change. If a lane's playing different from week to week, it could just be sometimes mechanics don't know what they're doing. Sometimes, not saying that's the case, sometimes the mechanics don't know what they're doing. Sometimes the topography may be different from one lane to another. Sometimes you may be closer to the door, depending if it's colder outside, warmer outside, whatever the case may be, can affect the lane. There's plenty of things that can affect how lanes break down, how lanes play. All that comes into an effect. But typically a house shot is 40 feet. You just have to go to your house and ask for a printout of what they're printing out.
And oiling,
yeah.
Or are they stripping first, then oiling, coming back? I've heard some houses strip and oil, if I'm not mistaken. Then you have some that strip up and oil coming back, which would give you a cleaner, I guess, pattern, cleaner back ends or whatever, whatnot. But I believe when you are stripping and oiling, sometimes you can get that little solution mixed with the pattern, and now you got that spot that you hit that you thought was off your hands perfect.
What do you think off the top of you can't see? Somebody asked what I know. Somebody asked, what bowlers do you like? What bowlers do you like, or do you have favorites?
As in pros?
I guess, because then they would know who they are. But, I mean, anybody other than me.
You're right.
Go ahead.
Of course, Parker Bone. I grew up watching him. He's a favorite lefty of mine. You have Chris Barnes. You have it's a ton of them, man.
I don't have that many. Mine, I have Shannon O'Keefe. I just like the way she executes her shots. I think it's fairly similar to mine, so I kind of, based off what she does, I may think of buying a ball, getting a ball. I love her energy. Chris Prather, I like him. I've met him.
Mr. Clark Kent.
I've been a few times in Plainfield, Illinois, because I used to live in Joliet, which is a town next to it. So I believe, like, phonetically, mechanically, he's very well sound. So I love watching him bowl as well as Chris Barnes. He was one of my favorites growing up because he just threw the ball.
Couch.
Yeah, mechanically just very well. And that's something that I tried to mirror myself off of.
Jules, too.
Who?
Jules.
And then,
Jules,
I also like...
Jules is a great bowler.
Okay.
He was on tour.
Oh, okay.
Tony Giuliano.
Yes, that's a friend of ours who also was pro for a while. I also like Kim Terrell Kearney. Met her a few times. Very lovely woman. Also out of mind as an African American bowler. I definitely idolize her. And I also cheer for Gary Faulkner because I've known him for a little while. College days and things like that. Very great guy. So I like bowlers off of people as a person, as well as how they have done on tour, and how I can either, if I learn from them and they're willing to give knowledge, that's the reason why I would like somebody, because that to me is overall why would somebody be my favorite. Highest series. I do not have an 800. My highest series is like 789. That's mine. I do have a 300 ring. I saw that. Somebody asked to have a 300 ring. I do. I have one from TNBA and USBC. What's your highest series?
864.
864. Great job.
Thank you. I threw 35 out of 36 strikes.
Charles Morgan is watching. We're about to get off Charles because we gotta head to the league to see you. I don't know if we're bowling you, but we know you'll be there. Let's see. I think we kind of answered
Charles always watching. Charles is always watching. Where's Johnson? Johnson,
he's not here today.
Oh,
my average is 214. What is your book average?
It's like 240 something.
240 something. No pins. Gerard told me he'll bet our series tonight over him.
Oh my God! Can you block him?
You know I'm always down for a bet. You know I'm always down for a bet. So bet good. All right, thank you so much for joining. If you have any other questions, make sure you go to the 305 Talks Bowling. You can email us, you can message us, you can do any of those ways of getting in contact with us for us to be able to answer those questions for our next Tuesday talk, where we can answer anything you guys ask. Thank you so much for watching, supporting, and following.
And our t-shirt giveaway goes to our number one viewer, which is Robert Jones. Thank you.
T-shirt?
Yeah.
He did ask if we're giving away free bowling balls.
Say what?
He asked if we're giving away free
Who
bowling
asked
balls.
that? Block him too. Block him now.
We may start doing that, but we may.
It's gonna be spare balls.
That's not where we start. We might start with spare balls and work our way up. But thank you so much for watching, and tune in today at 7:30 p.m. We'll do our trios, and I think that'll be all until next